Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, The Midwest Buzz. I'm back.
Olivia's back, everyone. And if you're watching on YouTube, we have a special surprise. We have a guest star who is probably not going to say any actual words, maybe some little grunts.
Yeah, you might hear him. Little Grant man.
And he is the topic of our discussion today.
Yes, we are going to be talking about his birth. I think it's funny. People are like, do you want to hear, or they're like, I want to hear your birth story. I go, well, it's not my birth. It was my labor. But it's his birth.
That's true. Like, it was my labor story. He was birthed.
Yeah. A labor of love.
Yeah, no kidding. How old is he today?
He's 2 weeks and 4 days.
4 days. Dang. I can't believe he's 18 days old already.
I know. It goes by so quick.
That's wild. He's growing up too fast. He already has changed so much.
I know. It's crazy. It's like my camera roll is full of pictures of him.
Gotta be.
But I was like going back. I was looking for a picture of him and my mom. And so I was going back and I was like, oh my gosh, he looks so different from just the hospital to, anyways.
That's crazy.
Just soaking up every second.
Right. You had your first Mother's Day with him.
Yes. So special. It was so weird to be like, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I don't know. And my mother-in-law got me a necklace that says mama. I think it's backwards right now.
Oh, cute.
I don't know. My necklace is jumbled.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
So, yeah.
So fun. So fun.
Yes.
So far he's been like as far as like after delivery and now you've been home, like is it kind of what you expected?
Yeah. It's been like, I wish Adam had a longer leave from work, but that was really fun. Just like,
did he get a week off?
He got a week off. Yeah.
That's actually really good.
Yeah. And it was because like one of the personal trainers at the gym covered a lot of his stuff, and so I'm very thankful for him doing that. And Tanner helped out a lot too, so that was really nice.
That's super helpful.
But yeah, because the first week, and my mom was here too, which helped a lot. Because the first week the healing was rough, or just like I didn't know what to expect. I bet with the second kid, when you know what to expect and your body's already done it once, like it'll be a lot better. But
yeah,
the first is a doozy for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Don't envy that nor look for, like, anytime I even have like one mild pain in my body, I'm like, oh, I remember back when I was healthy, like like when I was jet lagged for that one day.
Oh yeah,
I was like, woe is me, oh, to be like healthy again. And it's like you like, and I know obviously your body was healing, but like you underestimate or you like don't appreciate what it feels like just to feel good.
Yeah.
And then you don't, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's so true. Anytime I'm sick.
Right. At least no more heartburn.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That was like instant. Yeah. That was instant relief. Because I had heartburn during labor, which I'll talk about. But as soon as he was out, it was like I didn't have it anymore. And I didn't eat like any red sauce right away, and I was trying to eat healthy, like I wanted warm things and whatever, but like when we came home and stuff, I've had spaghetti, I've had lasagna, and like all the things, no heartburn, and it's so nice.
Nice.
Like I couldn't even eat bananas or strawberries without getting heartburn.
Ew.
Yeah, because it was more acid reflux than heartburn.
I don't think I've ever had heartburn. I think we talked about this last time. I don't even know what that feels like. It sounds
I would
horrible.
have thought that it was like down in your chest feels like gas.
Right.
No, it's like burning up your throat.
Ew.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's no good.
Also, before we get into it, I just want everyone to know I've had 6 telemarketer calls today. Spam calls.
You keep getting those.
I get so many.
That's crazy.
I don't know what I need to do. I need to blacklist my number.
I wonder if because is your number on Google for your business?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why. But you can't. What can you do?
Right. It's got to be on there.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. I don't know.
Get a landline for the studio.
Right. I'm going old school.
Adam and I were talking about that yesterday because my dad came to say goodbye to us because he left today to go to Virginia, and he left his phone. And we were like, how do we tell him he left his phone? Because his phone is here.
Yeah.
There's no landlines.
He's got to figure it out.
Yeah. So we were, that was like before 6. we were in bed at like 10. We heard the doorbell. I was like, Dad, it's Dad.
It took him that long to figure it out?
I think he must have just gone all the way home and decided that I don't know. I just asked Adam, I was like, did you ask him how long it took him to realize? And he's like, oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah, I've definitely like Facebook messaged someone and been like, hey, I lost my phone, or like my phone is somewhere, like, yeah, like because I knew I didn't have my phone, so I've like gotten on my computer and like messaged people. But interesting. Yeah,
I messaged my mom and I was like, just in case you try to get a hold of Dad, he doesn't have his phone. Yeah. And then his phone was here and my sister FaceTimed and I answered it and I was like, Dad left his phone.
Get to know who's calling Dad.
Yeah, that's look funny. Through all his things. No,
that's hilarious.
But yeah, landlines.
Well, yeah, good old landline days. I think my mom and dad still have one. Do your parents not have one?
No. If they had been in their like original house, they probably, right. But they've moved so much that.
No, this is. Yeah, my parents have had one since I was like 3 years old. And I don't think they really use it very much. I think if my mom doesn't answer her cell phone, my dad tries calling it. And then it's like beeps to the machine and he'll be like, somebody needs to pick up their phone.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right. Should we get into it?
Yes. Olivia, tell us all about your labor story.
Okay. I have it in my phone. The birth of Grant White.
Oh my gosh. It sounds so like
official.
Like a biography.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm doing an audiobook right now. Okay. Anyways, so it was actually the last podcast we had recorded and where I was like, I'm still pregnant. That was Thursday the 27th.
Yep.
Because it was before, or it was when you had just gotten back.
Yeah, I had just gotten back. You were like 5 days overdue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I had like a few contractions, nothing crazy, while we were doing the podcast. And so my mom decided to come into town so that we could mall walk and shop and whatever. Just take my mind off of it and see if things progressed. So we did that. And while we were walking around the mall, I would have contractions while we were walking. I could still walk through them and just like breathe through them, whatever. But my mom was like, I can tell that your face is getting like flushed. These are real contractions.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. So then we went to Target, and as we were in Target, they were getting a lot closer together. And I was just tracking on this app, and the app like sent an alert, and it was like, get prepared so that you can have all your stuff to be ready to go to the hospital, blah, blah, whatever it was saying that. So we came back to my house, and I started bouncing on the ball. But while I was bouncing on the ball, it really like alleviated contractions, and they kind of stopped. And so we did that, and we watched a movie or something. And then we decided to go on a walk around the neighborhood, which I took Blue with me, and that was a mistake because he does not walk well for me. I don't know. And anyways, so that kind of started up contractions again, but essentially they were just not consistent enough. So I told my mom to just go home. It probably wasn't going to happen, whatever. Then that night, I kind of had texted some people like your mom and stuff. Or she texted me, I think, because you had talked about how it was, I thought about doing the castor oil or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and she was telling me, like, relaxed. And my mom had said, like, take a nice bath or shower. And everyone was just telling me, just relax and, like, you know, just whatever. So I told Adam, I was like, let's go to bed early. Also, time out.
When people tell you to relax, like, just relax. It's so hard to relax. And that's not even, like, pregnancy stuff. That's just in like, general.
Yeah. Like, when you're saying, oh, I'm so stressed. Oh, just chill out. Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Or like you have anxiety and they're like, you're fine. Just relax. Oh, okay. All better.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Yeah. No. But so Adam and I decided to go to bed early and just like enjoy each other's company and sit there and whatever, watch TV. And I'm glad that I like wasn't really hungry, but then I was like, oh, I should eat something. So I fixed myself dinner. And that was around 8. And then 8:30, the contractions were seeming closer together and more consistent, so I started tracking them again, and then from there it just progressed. So then we turned off the TV and Adam put worship music on and like turned off the lights and brought the ball up to the room so that I could bounce on it. And it sounds so funny.
What time is this?
So it started at 8:30. This was probably like 9:30, 10 that we did this. And then I told Adam, I was like, you should sleep because if this does progress tonight, you're not going to get any sleep, and one of us should be rested. Yeah. So he...
Could you not sleep at this point?
Yeah, I couldn't. I was, like, kind of resting my eyes in between contractions, but when one came, I, like, had to really breathe through it and everything. Okay.
So... Pain scale, what's this at?
This is probably, like, a 4.
Okay.
It was, I mean, totally manageable. Okay. And I could lay down through them. Once I got to the point where, so like around 10:30, I was like, I can't lay down anymore. It's not comfortable. So then I would sit on the ball, and then I had to get up and go to the bathroom, and I had a contraction while I was going to the bathroom. That hurt. I don't know what it is about, but they call the toilet like the dilation station. So if you're struggling to progress or dilate, they sometimes have you sit on the toilet, or like if you're doing it with a midwife especially, they would have you like sit on the toilet. And I don't know
why.
That's
interesting because, like, that position wouldn't be that different from the ball, would it?
Well, so with the toilet, they want you to, and if you're on YouTube, I'm demonstrating, they sit on it and, like, lean on it this way.
Oh, you, like, flip around.
Yeah, which I was just going to the bathroom. I wasn't flipped around or anything. Right. But it still was, like, I don't know if it's because your butt sinks down a little bit or what. I don't know. It's not that different from the ball, though, if you think about it.
Interesting.
Also, I've heard that some hospitals have exercise balls that are shaped like toilets.
Oh.
I know. I was like, what? I can't even picture that.
Weird. Is it like a donut?
Maybe. I don't know. The one girl was telling her birth story, and that was she said that they got her the toilet ball or whatever. And I was like, what the?
The toilet ball.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so contractions were progressing, and around, I think it was like 12, I woke Adam up and was like, hey, I think you need to pack up the car. And it's pouring rain, of course. But I was like, I think you need to pack up the car. I think we're going to have to go eventually. And so it'd just be better if we were ready at the point that we have to go. And then within those like 20 minutes of him packing up the car, I started to have to stop. Like I was moving around and getting myself ready or whatever. And then when a contraction would come, I have to like stop and like brace myself. And I told him, I was like, I can't do it alone anymore. I like need you to be here. And so he finished packing up the car, and then we called the hospital because the contractions were 2 to 3 minutes apart. And it had been for over an hour that they had been like that. So we called, and they said to come in. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to get in the car because I just don't want to have a contraction in the car. But anyways, we went, and I just, like, with each contraction, I was less able to talk, and, like, I had to stop moving whenever a contraction hit. But we got to the hospital, and they put us in what they call triage, which is where you just kind of wait to be admitted.
Gotcha.
And so they checked me, and I was 4 centimeters. And this is kind of where I need to check my my notes because details get lost.
I was going to say, I feel like anything can get blurry when you look back on telling a story, but like especially when there's like so much going on.
Yeah. And I like, once we got to the hospital, I don't remember times of anything.
And I didn't. You probably weren't just sitting on your phone or like looking at the time.
Yeah. No, I had texted my mom a couple of times before, like I told her that we were going to the hospital and that kind of stuff. But once we got there, I wasn't tracking contractions anymore, and so I like set my phone down and I was just focused on labor. Yeah. So Adam was the only one who was communicating with anyone or checking the time. So if you want more details on that, you could ask him. But so when we got there, it was like 1 a.m. and we got checked in to triage, and the nurses were super nice. One of them was one that I had when I had the non-stress test, and she was like, "I knew you'd be back on your own." Because I don't know if I said that on the podcast, but my doctor wanted to induce me on Friday because she thought he was going to be big and was worried about the shoulder dysplasia, which is like where they get caught coming out.
Yeah, I don't think you talked about that.
Yeah, I don't think I did. So that was kind of why I wanted him to come, because a lot of doctors and hospitals, they don't want you to go past 41 weeks. Yeah. They don't really even want you to go past 40. They would just prefer to induce you. But I wanted as natural as possible. Yeah. And so I'm really happy that I went to labor on my own. Yeah. But anyways, when they checked me, I was 4 centimeters and 90% of face. And also I will say being checked while in labor is not comfortable. And I wish that they just didn't do it as often as they do. But I guess, I don't know. I think midwives don't check you as often, which would be kind of nice. But I don't know.
I don't want to get graphic, but like there's so much, like I think that I know a lot about birth because like enough of my friends have had children, right. And like But I'm like, there's so much I feel like I'm just like, wait, what? Like,
yeah. So when I say get checked,
yeah, that's they just them like, checking. It's yeah, like
they
the finger.
They like, stick their fingers. Because
isn't it like this is like 2, 3, 4, 5? Like there's like a whole like Lauren has done. Like Lauren has shown me like, this is 3. This is 4.5. This is
yeah. I just when it's like them sticking their fingers up there and then they're swishing around, and when you're in labor, you're like cramping and tightening and yeah.
Interesting.
So basically they were like, yeah, we just want to monitor you for 2 hours and we'll see how you progress. But they were like, but we will every 20 minutes, or something like that, you can be unhooked from because they were monitoring like contractions in the baby with like those things around me.
Band, yeah.
Yeah. But we could be unplugged from the machine and walk the halls and do whatever I needed to do. So we did that for 2 hours. Basically, Adam and I walked the halls, checked out. She had told us, like, there's a snack room. Adam could go and get whatever he wanted. I was only allowed to eat ice chips. And then when they wanted me to, a popsicle.
Oh.
Which is, again, a thing for hospitals in case you have to go
into surgery.
Into surgery. If you're with a midwife, you can eat however you want.
Interesting.
Yes. And that's because back in the day, they would, like, intubate, and they would worry about you like throwing up. And now they don't really do that.
Yeah, I suppose if you had to go in for like an actual emergency surgery, because with a C-section, you don't even go under. They just block you.
Yep, they just put like a curtain. And yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to go into graphic details about the pain or different symptoms that I was having, but I will say I was having my acid reflux at one point, and I was like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And the nurse was in there, like, checking stuff. And she was like, here's the throw-up bag, whatever. And I didn't throw up at that point. But then later, I just all of a sudden was, like, grabbed the bag and just projectile.
I feel like a lot of people, I feel like anyone I've ever heard tell me about them giving birth, they always puke.
Yep. And it's a very common thing when you're going into transition. They say that you puke because the pain gets so intense.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have an epidural.
Interesting.
I think mostly if you are just doing it natural is when that happens. But so in my mind, I was like, does that mean that I'm already in like transition? But I think it was just because of my acid reflux.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't really feel nauseous or anything. It just was like in my throat. I was like, I'm going to throw up. Anyways.
I always feel so much better after I puke. Did you feel better?
I did feel better, except for the fact that like because it was so intense, it like strained my neck. And then it was just the cherry on top of everything else that was already hurting. And I also started getting hemorrhoids, which is something that I've dealt with prior to being pregnant.
Right.
And I really actually didn't have any throughout my whole pregnancy.
That's nice you didn't have any during pregnancy.
But then during labor, they got really intense. And with each contraction, in between contractions, they would ease up. But yeah, which is so funny because I eat a ton of fiber and they say that that's the thing that causes them. But I don't know. Anyways.
That causes them?
Like if you don't have enough fiber, I mean.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I, again, never have had those. I know people that have had them.
It's usually an old person problem, to be honest.
Jordan had them.
Oh, well, I mean, young people have them too, but it's usually like...
She had them with her pregnancy.
It's very common in pregnancy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get constipated or they're, whatever.
Interesting.
This is just going to be a TMI episode. We should put a warning on it. But
we should put
an explicit. Because I did not have that problem during pregnancy. I was very regular. So, I don't know. But my mom had hemorrhoids during her labors too. And...
sounds miserable.
Yeah, she was like, I didn't want to warn you about it, but like I thought that might happen. Anyways, so with each contraction that were getting more intense, and they were pretty long too. I was having really long contractions. I was also having the hemorrhoids, so the pain was just like really intense. Adam and I came up with a good system though. Each contraction, I would stand up because I would rest in between, just like sitting on the bed.
Yeah. And
I would stand up and put my arms around his neck, and he would like hold my weight, and we would kind of sway back and forth. And it's a lot of the like birth training and stuff that I did said like practice your moaning and that kind of stuff, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. It's so instinctual to just be like during a Like,
interesting.
It just is
yeah, if you told me I had to moan, I'd be like, ew, cringe.
And they were like, because in a lot of the birth training, they talk about, like, keeping it low, don't, you know, get high or, like, where you're screaming in pain. Just keep it low and controlled and relax through the contractions. So I was trying each contraction to be really relaxed, not tighten anything up, to picture, like, my cervix opening, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we did that for, I guess I don't even know how many hours. We had shift change, though, so that was around
7 a.m. is usually, like, I guess, I don't know, usually it's 7 to 7.
Yeah, and to be honest, it felt fast to me. I mean, it was in pain and stuff, but when the one nurse was leaving, she was so nice. She was like, "You're a rock star, you're doing," like, the nurses were all so nice and very encouraging and, like, so impressed that I was doing it natural, blah, blah, whatever. So she was like, "I bet you'll have a baby, you know, by 8, whatever." And I was like, "Oh, what time is it now?" Like, didn't even know the time. But then the contractions started getting, like, way more intense and with a lot of, like, pressure, which means that he was just coming down, which was good. But then that intensified my hemorrhoids to the point where I felt like I needed to be clenching my butt, which is but then it makes it worse too. And so it was really hard to have my body relax. And I started to not be as good about breathing through the contractions. Right. So,
well, if it was like pain on pain, like it wasn't just one pain.
Yeah. There was one point where the nurse came in. I guess they have like a monitor out in their station. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "I need to check the monitors on you because I hope you're not having a 4-minute contraction." But I was like still contracting and like holding on to Adam or whatever while she was adjusting it. And Adam's like, "I think she's... like, I think it's right. She's still having a contraction." So I've had a couple of 4-minute long contractions that just, like, exhausted me.
Is a contraction itself just when your stomach gets really tight?
Yeah, so that's, like, the part, it's like, the uterus, like, pushing the baby out, kind of.
So it's like
yeah, this? The uterus is contracting to help the baby go down the birth canal to then come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just incredibly, like, tight feeling almost?
It's, like, tight and crampy. And do you know what's funny is I think God designs us to forget the pain, because it's like I know that it was so painful because of like memory, but like I can't
already you
remember
don't, like,
the
you can't
pain.
Like feel it.
Yeah. Where
interesting.
Where like you have a stomach bug or flu or something, you're like, "Oh my gosh, you can remember how that felt," and all that kind of stuff.
There are times where I've had like cramps so bad that I've just been like laying in the tub crying.
Yeah.
And like contemplating taking a whole okay, this is not true. I've not thought about taking a whole bottle of Advil, but why you have these pain meds that I like took not kicking in? Like this is how I die because my stomach hurts, like my cramps hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like I can still remember those.
Yeah. It was a lot like,
which is probably like a 4 on the birth scale.
No, it's like very intense period cramps with the tightening with like pressure.
Interesting. Okay. I just needed to like, as someone who's not knowing what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought that's what a contraction was, but I was like, I don't know.
At this point on the pain scale, it's probably like a 7.
Okay.
Because after the contractions, I could still talk to the nurses, or like I was kind of out of it because I was so tired. But like I could answer their questions or whatever, which they always have. I mean, they have to like admit you and do all the questions and blah, blah, blah. And then they have to question you about like what you want to happen after the baby's born and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, sometimes I'd be like, "Adam, answer for me.
Please talk."
Yeah. But they kind of asked me again about epidural and I was like, no. And then, they've checked me a couple of times, but, at the point where the on-call doctor was going to come in, they checked me and said I was an 8.5, and he was like, you have like a bulging sac, which was for the water.
Because your water had not broke yet.
Yeah, my water hadn't broke.
Okay.
And so he was like, "I would like to break your water. I think that's going to help things progress."
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're progressing nicely, whatever, blah, blah. But I just think this will help things go along." And at that point, I was just like so tired. I was like, "Yes, please, I need..."
Yeah, if this is going to make it faster. I feel like a lot of waters have to get broke, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Even like my sister who did it at home or whatever, her midwife had to break her water. So I thought it was going to be painful like when he broke the water. So they had me like, they had the bed sit all the way up like a chair, and then the lower part went down for my feet, and he broke my water, and it just felt like gushing warm water. It didn't hurt at all.
Right.
And I thought the contractions would get more intense after he broke my water, but they had me stay in the bed because they didn't want like water everywhere.
Right.
Or bodily fluid, whatever.
Just put a diaper on me, please.
Yeah. So then I had to sit in the bed for probably like 5 or 6 contractions, maybe more. I don't know. I wasn't keeping count. I should have been better about it. But that was tough because it just was really uncomfortable to be sitting when you have like the hemorrhoid pain. And so I would like have to wiggle around, and like Adam would reach over and like hug me or whatever. So that was really uncomfortable. But when I could stand up again, then the pressure got insane. And I guess it's because he broke my water that just like everything was coming down. And
it probably took like that barrier of everything like out.
So then I would say the pain got to like a 9 at that point. And I was like really loud during my contractions. Well, like with the moaning and stuff. So it was still like the deep moaning. And I would be like, oh, like talking to Adam, like, oh, it's so hard. I'm so tired. And you know, he was very encouraging. He was so great. I think it's kind of I don't know, for some guys, very instinctual to know what to say to their, I don't know.
And like to be comforting and be like supportive and yeah.
He was like, you're doing so good. You've got this. You're like, just
I feel like
so
his job lends itself very well to this too. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, then the contractions were just really intense, and I started to feel like a lot of pressure, and I started kind of like holding it on to Adam and like squatting down. And we had shift change, so the 2 nurses that were going to be there for the delivery were there, and they were kind of telling me like, you know, sway your hips to kind of help baby get down in your pelvis more and whatever. And so I was trying to do that, but it was like hard to do that movement, and then I just kept wanting to like squat down. They're like, no, don't squat. And I was like, I feel like I need to push. And they're like, okay, let's check you again, which miserable getting checked and I would have like contractions.
It's funny that like you'd think with all the pain going on down there, you wouldn't even feel that.
It just is like, it makes it more intense. Like if you're having a contraction, it gets like crampy and really uncomfortable. And it's very uncomfortable to lay down, for me anyways.
Oh, they have to do it laying down?
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know that they have to, but that's how they prefer. So they had me lay down and then like put my legs like froggy.
Oh, yeah.
So they did that, or I think my doctor came in and checked me at that point, and she was like, I'm going to say you're a 9. So like, you're doing great. And then she tried to convince me to do the epidural because she was worried about shoulder dysplasia, which if that happened, she would be having to stick her hand in and like cup baby out, and a nurse would be having to like put her fist in on my stomach, and it would just be so painful.
I was watching a Grey's Anatomy episode the other day, and she was fine.
Yeah. So she was she was like, it would be agonizing without an epidural, but like if that's what you want. Right. And I was at that point, I think I was like on my knees on the bed because she had just checked me, and I like, as soon as I was having a contraction, Adam helped pull me up, and so I was like leaning over Adam, and I was like, no, I don't want it.
Right.
But then like, I feel like it was the next contraction that I had because I was still in that position. I was telling Adam, I can't do it. And he was like, yes, you can. And my nurse came over and was like, Olivia, I think you can totally do this naturally if that's what you want. But I want you to know that you can like have pain meds, or we can do something to help manage this pain or whatever.
Right.
And she was like, is that something that you'd be interested in? And I looked at Adam and I was like, would you be disappointed in me if I needed? And he was like, no, you can, whatever you need, whatever. And I was like, I think I want something or whatever. But then I was like, oh, I feel like I need to push. And they're like, I can't remember when and what order all these things happened, but essentially when my doctor checked me, there was a little bit of cervix in the way, and I was at a 10. This was like, so it must have been a while in between these things. But, okay. And she was like, well, since you feel like you need to push, I'll stay in here for the next contraction, try to wiggle this out of the way, and you try pushing. And so we'll do that with the next contraction. The next contraction came, and I literally tensed up. I could not push. And she was like, try pushing. And I was trying, but I like could not relax enough to like push, or I don't know. It was almost like I was convulsing. I wasn't, but that was like the pain, and I couldn't stay still on the bed. I was like shaking. You know, yeah. So, oh, the camera stopped.
When it stopped.
No, I don't think so. Okay, sorry, YouTube. I don't know where we lost you, but we're back. So basically, I couldn't relax, and I was just in a ton of pain and exhausted, and so I decided, they were kind of talking, my nurse was talking to me about the pain management. So this was after the trying to push, and then my nurse talked to me about the pain management thing. And I was like, yeah, I think I need something in order to be able to actually push out my baby. And I was kind of getting the urge to push, but like my body wasn't listening to I don't know. It was just really weird. And so, and I think part of that was because I was having the hemorrhoids. So at the same time that my body was feeling like it was needing to push, it was also feeling like it needed to tense up. Yeah. And like, yeah. So it was a little disheartening, but I did decide to get the epidural. But when the anesthesiologist comes in and is explaining everything to you, you're contracting, and they are having you sign stuff and like just put while you're getting it, and that was like pain relief, and then you had to sign and whatever. And I'm like, I wish that your husband could just do that for you. But yeah, he had me sit crisscross on toward the side of the bed. But then I got a contraction, and I like shot up, and I was like, like grabbed onto Adam. And he was like, okay, I can't give her an epidural if she can't like sit still through her contractions. They seem really intense, whatever. So then I was kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to get any relief. And I was like, this is so hard. And I had started getting to the point where contractions where I was not doing the moaning thing. I was almost like screaming through contractions. So the pain was like a 10 in my book. So anyways, long story short, he couldn't give me the epidural, but he could give me an IT dose. And so they laid me on my side and like brought my legs up. Adam and the nurses were helping him, and he like put it in, and then I started getting another contraction, and it's just like a shot that they give you, I think, essentially.
An epidural, you're hooked up to a constant flow.
It's like a catheter that's left in your back, kind of. And so he was like, okay, sit her up. And I was like, no, I can't sit. And he's like, you have to, you got to. And so they all like flipped me up into a seated position, and I could like feel it going down or whatever. And it was like instant relief. I still could feel like in my stomach contractions, but like the pressure and the pain down there was gone. Which was so nice.
Interesting.
It's not how I wanted it to go. I wanted to do it as naturally, but it helped so much.
Yeah. And I feel like if you'd gotten to the point where like you said, up until like the point that you were able to like mentally manage things, like, and like you're moaning and different things like that, I feel like once you get out of, like with anything, if you're mentally not able to handle it, it's done.
Yeah. And I feel like, and nothing against, I mean, like the nurses were so nice, my doctor was nice, the anesthesiologist, all of them were so nice, but there's just so many interruptions and like questions, and so it takes your focus, and then I just feel like you can't really just be in the zone, and like, I don't know.
No, that would be hard.
Yeah. So.
And under intense pain. Like, it's not like it's just like have a good mindset. Like,
yeah.
So they gave you that. It numbed everything up for the most part.
Yeah. So then they were like, okay, let's start pushing.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's do some practice pushes so you know like what we want, whatever. And my doctor came in, and she was like, I'm so glad that you got that. That makes me feel better if like anything does happen with his shoulders, whatever.
Yep.
And so she came in and like checked me again, and she's like, yeah, there's just still a little bit of cervix in the way, but she was kind of like massaging down there and doing that stuff while the nurses they put like my legs in the stirrups, which my mom was surprised about because she was like, I didn't even know they still use those. Yeah. But when you have an epidural, I guess it's harder to, I don't know, or like pain meds or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which I could still like kind of move my legs. It just they were a little heavy.
Interesting.
But the nurses helped. So we did some practice pushes. And Adam says it felt like it was not that long that I was pushing, but Adam says it was like an hour or so.
Oh, dang.
So they like showed me what they wanted me to do, and you push with contractions. So through each contraction, I would push like 3 or 4 times, like, and hold it for 10 seconds, whatever. But, and I was also having really long contractions. Like, my doctor's like, dang, her contractions are long. Let's do one more, you know, whatever. So sometimes I would do 5. And my nurses were so helpful. They tried a bunch of different, like, pushing positions to find what was comfortable for me. But basically, it was like holding my legs, and they would push my feet, and I would, like, hold my legs and bring myself up and push. Or there was one where there was the handles, and I would pull myself up and push. Or they did, like, where they took a sheet, and I held one end and a nurse held the other end, and then I pull myself and push. And they were like, told you how to, like, push with baby, and, like, it felt very natural to, like, do
that part of it.
But it was really tiring too, because you have to, they, like, you kind of hold your breath while you're, like, you take a deep breath in and then, like, hold it while you're pushing. And I was like, just think about it like what you do with a squat when you're pushing up the weight or whatever. It's like, I don't lift as heavy as you to where I need to brace as much.
Right. But, interesting.
But yeah, and then my doctor left and went to the clinic for a bit, and then I did that with the nurses for a while. They tried some different stuff, very helpful, like, told me to relax my face because I was, like, making veins in my forehead come out.
Oh no.
And anyways, when my doctor came back, everybody came in the room and got all ready for baby to come, and basically pushed him out. As soon as his head came out, the rest of him just kind of was like fell out, and then they put him on my belly and made sure that, like, the cord was okay or whatever, and then, like, brought him up to my chest, and then, like, Adam and I got to see him, and I was like, oh, he doesn't seem that big, and they're like, you're not really seeing all of him, he's big. And then after a little bit, they let Adam cut the cord, and then, which the cord is so weird looking. I don't know.
I've seen, like, just, like, photos and stuff. Yeah. Did they do that thing where you, like, save cord blood? Did you guys do that?
No. We like, did delayed cord clamping, but so that it would go all the time.
There's this thing with, like, where you can, like, store cord blood, and then if they would need it later for, like, transfusions and stuff, like, it matches. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
I don't even know. I don't remember where I saw that. They were talking about, like, saving cord blood.
Yeah.
In, like, a blood bank. I don't know. Very interesting.
Very interesting. Anyway. I've heard of people saving the placenta and turning it into, like, pills.
Yeah,
and, like,
Kim
taking
K.
it. Yeah. They
cut it up like a little steak.
Yeah. That was one of the questions they had asked, which I had in my birth. They, like, send you home with a birth plan to fill out, and then you send it in, whatever. And I had said that I didn't want to keep the placenta or anything.
Do people actually do that?
Some people do, which then you have to take it home in, like, a organs cooler or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, but no, I just had the hospital dispose of it.
Okay. Was that okay? So he came out. You got to snuggle him, hold him, cut the cord. They take him, you know, like, weigh him.
Yeah, they took him. They only took him because usually they just leave you be for, like, an hour.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of fluid in his lungs because I had a lot of amniotic fluid. So they just took him over. They're like, we just want to use our longer thing, and it's over there, whatever. So they took him, and then my doctor I also did forget one part. My doctor cut me. It's called an episiotomy because she was trying to, like, stretch it out down there and stuff, and it just was not making enough room for him, so she had to cut me. And Adam said, because I was like, is there really, like, was there really no room? He was like, I don't think he was gonna be able to push past that. Like, I think he would have torn, and that would have been harder to stitch up and whatever anyway. So my mom said she's torn and had an episiotomy, and she healed way better from the episiotomy than the tear, because the tear can go, like, zigzag or whatever, but with an episiotomy it's a straight line at least.
Right.
So
more suture like if they just cut it and sew it. Yeah.
So it's not ideal, but it wasn't horrible. Obviously I didn't feel anything, and I'm glad that, like, if I was going to tear or have to have that done,
you were already blocked. Can you imagine if you wouldn't have been blocked and she would have cut it? Oh my gosh, my body will go numb if I think about it.
Yeah. I was worried that medicine was wearing off because I could feel contractions a lot harder when I was
towards the end,
which was good because then it was like I was pushing more natural. But yeah, I was glad I was still numb down there.
Okay, this is the one thing I did not know this until like very recently. You have to like deliver the placenta.
Yeah, it was really quick afterwards. I didn't even feel it.
Oh, okay.
Because some people say that you cramp and stuff with the placenta, but I didn't even feel it. I asked, I was like, oh, do I still need to deliver the placenta? My doctor was like, nope, that's already out. You're good. And I read in my notes, because they give you like all the notes that they took from your labor and stuff. And it said that like the placenta delivered on its own like 5 minutes after baby or something.
Oh.
So it came out really quick. Some people, it's like they give you, it's usually within the 45 minutes after the baby's been born that it comes out. So then they took him and got the fluid out of his lungs. Yep. And then the doctor was like, I want a weight and a head measurement. I'm just so curious. And he was 9'4", and his head was 15 and something. Adam remembers it more clear than me. But she was like, oh, it's a big head. But yeah, so then they brought him back to me, and we just held him, and then he started kind of like acting like he wanted to nurse. So then they went into that whole explanation with me, and we tried that or whatever. But it took me a while to like, I think Adam probably texted his parents kind of right after when I was doing the nursing stuff. And I didn't get to text my parents, and he had been texting my mom and stuff.
Right.
And he had texted them, baby is here, Olivia's rock star, something like that.
Yeah.
And so they knew that he was born, but they didn't know any details. And he had texted his parents his weight. And so I guess my mother-in-law had told my mom that, and my mom was like, we didn't know his weight. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't text you right now.
I mean, I feel like it's nice to have like a chain of like, because who was it? Oh, Emily, when she had Army, like I was given everyone's numbers because I was there for the birth.
Yeah.
I was given everyone's numbers, and then I just texted everyone.
Yeah,
so
that's
then like
nice.
Everyone got it, like, because it's you're not just sitting on your phone texting people. Like,
so Adam sent my mom that one text, and then she was able to tell my siblings like I had the baby, and
at least
that
everyone
was nice.
knew. Like, that's good.
And I mean, my mom didn't really care, but she was just like, so then we just kind of got all cleaned up. The nurses took me to like clean me up and tell me how to take care of everything down there and all that. And when so they had me like sit up and put my legs over the bed and just kind of sit there and make sure I wasn't seeing stars or like
super lightheaded, or
I could feel my legs and all those things. And I was just kind of like the empty feeling of like there being nothing in my stomach, but everything feeling so
sloshy. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird, and my hips felt like they had just been like, because they were stretched during pregnancy, but they felt like they were unstable. Like, but walking felt fine, but like everything felt
like
weird.
Everything had been so full.
Yes,
and everything was so like, I don't know what
word
I'm trying to
like,
think. And then you take it out, and it was probably just like, I
felt like I was a 90-year-old woman walking to they helped me walk to the bathroom and then sit on the toilet, and then like, it just was very weird. And pretty much for the first week, I was kind of walking a little leaned over just because everything felt weird. But
and now you're like good though. I mean, I saw you the other day walking around. You look really good. Like
now,
I think the only time I saw you where you didn't like, where I could tell you looked like, because I came over on Sunday, so he would have been born on Friday morning. And you had like gotten up to go to the bathroom, and Adam like helped you up, and I was like, oh yeah, and you walked pretty good. I mean, that was only like 3 days after.
It just was, everything was sore and weird feeling.
That literally makes me like, thinking about it makes me like go numb. Like I'm so bad like with stuff like this. Crawlies, like I just don't do well with anything like that. That is so interesting. Okay, so this was like, you had him at what time on Friday?
10:11 a.m.
10:11. Okay.
Yep. And then my parents came and saw him, brought us food.
So they did allow visitors.
Yep.
Why did I think that you could only have one visitor?
You could have, so I actually could have had 2 support people. There was a point where I almost called my mom, but I felt bad that it was late, and then Like there was a couple of times
people would feel bad. You're in labor and you're like, I just want to be considerate of others. I'd be like,
well, my mom told me that they didn't really sleep very much, so she would have been so fine to come, whatever. But there was a point where Adam had to run down to the car to get our stuff, and I was alone, and I was just like, I think I need to call my mom, like thinking that in my head, like having contractions by myself, whatever. And then my mom also told me that they came to the hospital around 9:30, and
in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that she asked to like go see me, and they were like, oh, she's in labor, so you can't or whatever. And they're like, I'm her mom, and they're like, well, if you don't have the code, you can't go. And so because we were given a code to tell our visitors so that they could tell them, so then they could be allowed up, and they wouldn't even let my parents wait in the waiting room.
Interesting.
Yeah, but then later people were able to come up without the code.
I think like, is it like after the baby's born you can have as many visitors as you want?
No, we still could only have 2. So like my parents came, and then they had to leave so that his parents could come.
Oh, so you could have as many people as you want, just not all there at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought you could only have 2 people ever, like just those 2 people.
So Adam didn't count as a visitor, and if I had my mom, if I had my mom come in as a support person, then they both wouldn't have counted as visitors, and then we could have had more visitors. Really in there. Okay. Because you could have 2 support people and 2 visitors.
Right. I mean, I guess really you don't need more than 2 visitors at a time.
No, it was totally fine, because then
the only thing you would have needed like more than 2 visitors for would have been like if your mom and dad, like if you guys already had a kid and you're like, hey, we want the baby, like the sibling to meet the baby with the grandparents are bringing it up.
Yes. But yeah, so
interesting.
Yep, my parents came and got to meet him, brought us food. My mom wrote in his nameplate because I have horrible handwriting, so I had my mom do it. and then after they left, his parents came up, and that's when. So if you didn't, I didn't say the name because we were trying to surprise Adam's family, but he's Grant David White, which is named after his grandpa, Adam's dad, whose name is Grant David White, but he goes by Dave. And so we were always going to name him Grant because it's Adam's middle name. I've always liked it. Mm-hmm. And then Adam, we were just kind of like, I like the middle name David, it goes well with Grant, whatever. Right. I was like, let's just name him fully after your dad. And Adam was like, yeah, I'm down for that. So we decided to do that. And it was a very sweet moment when Dave saw it, and Tammy and everybody. So yeah, that's his birth story. I'm sure there's some details I'm leaving out and stuff Adam remembers that I don't. Yeah. But essentially, that's the gist.
Crazy. And now you're a mom, and you have a sweet little babe.
Yes.
Oh. Sweet. I'm glad that you don't, remember the pain, because...
Yeah. Then we wouldn't have more kids if we remembered the pain.
I feel like if you actively remembered it, every day, woke up and you're like, remember that pain?
Yeah. Which is funny, because to me, the first trimester was, I can remember that, and that's more what would stop me from getting pregnant again than the labor
interesting.
Pain. Because I feel like the labor pain is already gone from my mind.
And I feel like that was one day, and then you got him. Yeah. Versus, the first trimester was,
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Which I was really sick for, 14
You
weeks.
Still were just and now I get to look forward to this for even longer. Interesting.
Yes. So during the first trimester, the TikTok sound that was very popular was the corn song. I literally cannot hear that without feeling it makes me feel sick.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love that song.
It was on the background of something that came up on Instagram the other day, and it was an ad. Yeah. And I was like, ew, why are they using this song? I skipped over it. It didn't even go with it at all. It was so
that
weird,
is kind of funny and kind of it's true though how music can take you back to a moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wild. Yeah, I have 2 friends right now that are pregnant, and they're both still in their first trimester, and they're both do you just love living in the state of nausea? Or it's so fun puking every morning when I wake up, and I'm like, oh,
or just random things set me off.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. Sorry about Blue barking.
This could have been our Mother's Day episode. Shout out to all moms for what you do, because pregnancy does not sound fun. Yeah. And I know some people have really good pregnancies too, but I just feel as a whole, everyone I know says it's not that great.
Yeah, first trimester is rough. Second trimester, you forget you're pregnant sometimes. Third trimester, you're just like so excited to meet them. It feels forever long.
Right.
Plus, that's when I got like the pups rash and.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then
the rash is gone.
Yeah, it was gone before he was born.
Nice.
It had gone away, but yeah, I did ask the doctor if his baby acne. So he had like a lot of spots when he was born. Mm-hmm. They went away pretty quickly. I was like, was that because I had the rash during pregnancy? And they're like, it's just hormones, which your rash was hormones too. Yeah. So it's like just a lot of hormones going on.
Interesting.
But yeah. Yes, I have so much more appreciation for my mom and like feel closer to her after having Grant.
Yeah.
Like just so much respect and appreciation
that
for her.
That is something interesting because obviously like every year I tell my mom Happy Mother's Day. I'm like, you know, you're welcome that I made you a mom. Like I always say that, like being the firstborn.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, you guys, you're welcome for making her a mom because it was all me and like, you know,
yeah,
that's very me. And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I don't really think about the quote like actual sacrifice that. I mean, it's almost a year of your life that you're dedicating to growing this small child.
Yeah.
Like obviously they're helpless without you.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Crazy.
Wild.
Yes.
But he is finally here and we're so happy. I love snuggling him.
Yes.
He's
with
so
all
sweet.
his hair. That was something while I was pushing, they were like, oh my gosh, so much hair. And Adam was like, you were right, he has hair.
I know, you paid for it with all that heartburn.
Yeah. But sweet babe.
That's like kind of like crazy, yeah, that they can see that.
I know, yeah, because he was like,
yeah,
I guess there. I don't. Crazy. Adam looked. I didn't look. So
I would like can you imagine if you had your phone just like, oh no, I can't even.
Selfie stick. Like,
no.
Oh gosh, no.
Those wouldn't even be able to stay in the hidden folder.
Yeah.
Those would get deleted and then deleted from the deleted items. I could not.
Gosh.
I could not keep those. I would be scarred. Like, what if like someone saw them on your phone? I'd be like, I'll never be able to.
Yeah, I already feel like modesty goes out the window when you're in labor. But like,
I think there are a lot of tasteful birth photos that I've seen, and it's like, but you know, I really don't need to see the business. Hoo-ha.
No,
anyone's hoo-ha.
I had such good intentions of like documenting our labor and delivery experience, but no, I didn't document it at all. As soon as I was in pain, I was like, I don't even care. I had my camera and everything with us. We got some pictures right after he was born because one of the nurses took my phone and like took pictures of us, which is probably what I sent to you. And stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say, sorry, I'm finding my phone. I need to see what time you texted me. That's gonna take me forever to find. But
yeah, we've texted since then.
But yeah, I just remember getting the photo, and it's funny because I didn't have any information. I didn't know you had even gone into labor.
Yeah.
And when you sent it, I'm only gonna have to scroll for a few years. It's fine. No, we're getting close. Okay, here. You sent it at 12:07, so 2 hours after he was born, basically. And I was like, OMG, yay. And then I thought right away when I saw it, I was like, dang, she looks so good. Like, it must have been a super easy labor.
Just all night.
No, but you don't even look tired. Like you
it's
just
the endorphins after you
birth them. You like looking at you right now and looking at there. I'm like, no, like you look so good. Like,
thank you.
Because I remember I was with Ashlyn and I was like, look, Olivia had her baby. And I was like, look how good she looked. I just kept saying that. I was like, he looks cute. I looked at him obviously, but I was like, oh, Olivia looks so good. Like, look how much he's changed.
Yeah.
This was on Sunday when I came over.
Looks like a little turtle there.
I know. He looks so... That's so crazy. No, I don't know. I just was like, yeah. I also was very shocked also because I was like, oh my gosh, like she had him. Like it seemed so fast to me because I was just here the day before. Like
I did think about that a lot when I was in labor. I was like, all the family that knows I'm in labor but doesn't have to do anything, or like people who are just gonna be like, oh, she had her baby.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm always that person. Usually, like, you know, we get told, oh, Kellyanne's in labor, and then it's like next thing I know, oh, here's the baby. And I'm like, oh, sweet. You know?
Good job. Must have been sheer bliss. Like, no, that was totally me because I was like, oh, she was like fine yesterday and now she has a baby. Like, No time has passed.
Yeah. So easy. No, but it was good.
That's funny. No.
Birth is an everyday miracle.
Yeah, it really is. And it's crazy to think like how many babies, because did you say how many were born on the same day as him?
Well, we had heard the song a couple of times,
yeah.
And it got more crowded the next day. But
and then like obviously Sanford, and I mean just in Aberdeen alone, there was probably 4 or 5 babies born that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wild. Well, little Grant man, we are glad that you are here, and we're glad that he could join us on the podcast. If he continues to sleep through every episode.
Battery died on YouTube, so you're just hearing our voices
YouTube
now.
is just struggling today.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I was going to say he might be, if he continues to sleep like this during the episodes, he could be our most active
most frequent guest. Yeah. He'll be back.
He will be back. Well, thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations again, Olivia.
Thanks so much. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.